Well, fellas, that was not much fun. It sucked, in fact. Kentucky blew a huge opportunity in Austin, led for half the game, more than half the game, led for almost 23 minutes, led at halftime, looked pretty good throughout, and then the wheels absolutely fell off there at the end. Kentucky led by 5 with 3 minutes to go, and then did everything they possibly could to make sure Texas won that basketball game. Drew Franklin's here with Zack Geoghegan. We're both at home in Lexington, but Jack Pilgrim's checking in from Texas. He was there to witness it firsthand, so we're excited to hear what he has to say. Not that excited though, because none of us want to be doing this. That sucked. But yeah, Cats lose 82-78, fall to 17-8 on the season, and an odd 6-6 in the SEC. I know, this year the way it works, that's kind of how it's somewhat normal. But just seeing a 6-6 by SEC in conference, that's ugly, boys. What do we want to start tonight? You want to start with turnovers? You want to start with no shows? You want to start with letting two guys score nearly 60 points? You want to start with watching people rebound? I mean, we got all kinds of directions we can go with that collapse. 12-1 run by Texas. That's really what did them in. We'll go there. Kentucky went up 5. Good run there at the end. 3 minutes to go. Texas turns into a 12-1 run, never looks back. It was just, can I dribble off my foot? Should we just inbound the ball to two guys and have them look at it? How do you want to turn it over? That's what Kentucky was doing. Jack, since you're there, let us know how ugly it was and your initial thoughts.
I will be the first to tell you that Mark Pope was not happy. He was sitting there at the podium, said that the last 4 minutes was inexcusable, said that we played 36 minutes of winning basketball, and then for the last 4 minutes, it was just not acceptable. Said, not blaming it on injuries. That was kind of one of the main talking points was, hey, how much do you put the blame on Lamont Butler and Jackson Robinson being out? He said, nope. This Kentucky team as currently constructed was good enough to beat this Texas team as currently constructed, and it just was not good enough. I mean, yes, Trey Johnson was a superstar, went for a 30-burger on the Cats, but you knew that. Like, you kind of just put in your head, like, hey, he's going to go off, but as long as everybody else kind of takes care of business against everybody else, you should probably be good enough to win this game. So then when you have Tremont Mark stepping up the way that he did and having yet another, I don't know what it is about this guy. He just has career night after career night every time he plays Kentucky. So it just wasn't good enough. Down the stretch, missed shots, turned the ball over, missed free throws, didn't box out, gave up offensive rebounds. Just it was one thing after the other. It was an all-time collapse in the last 4 minutes, and Mark Pope is not happy about it.
Neither am I, Zach. Travis Perry got his first career start. Decent start to the game, I guess. Wasn't hurting him too bad. Kentucky was winning. But at the end, it was very clear they needed a ball handler, and it wasn't his night. He had a very, very critical turnover with about 2.5 to go. I think Kentucky might have even been up 1 or down 1 in that spot that really added to Texas blowing it wide open. But even if Mark Pope doesn't want to blame injuries, it is very obvious that this team cannot get into its offense and cannot protect the ball without Lamont Butler, Kirk Risa, and now Jackson Robinson, the 3 deep at point guard. Perry gave it his best, but that wasn't it.
Yeah, if Pope doesn't want to make the excuse, I happily will, because that's where this game starts and ends. Is yes, they were in it for the first 36 minutes, probably outplayed Texas for 30 of those 36 minutes, had an opportunity to win, but no ball handlers, just a lack of inexperience down the stretch ended up being the one that cost Kentucky the game, because you didn't have anyone that could just even bring the ball at the floor. Otega always struggled with having more, more responsibility on his end. Same with Kobe Brea, who didn't really show up. He just kind of struggled to get into any sort of flow. Those break in case of emergency step back 3-pointers he was hitting against Tennessee just weren't falling in this one. Travis Perry, like you said, I thought he started the game off pretty well. Him and Trent Noah as well looked like sophomores. Like, we can make that old whatever the fun saying there that they look like sophomores now. They both did in the first half because they were playing well. Especially Trent Noah, I thought was like amazingly confident. Like, looked like a different player than even 3 weeks ago. Amari Williams was great. Otego away kind of got his points at the end, but none of that really matters to me, just because if you have a Lamont Butler or a Jackson Robinson down the stretch there, you're at least going to you're not going to have those bad turnovers. Maybe you still lose that game with one of those guys or both those guys, but it's not going to be because you just cough the ball up 4 or 5 times in the final however many minutes. Lamont Butler in the game makes it a lot easier to guard someone like Tremont Mark. Jackson Robinson in the game makes it easier to guard someone like Trey Johnson. That just it all it all stems to not having those two guys, and it really, really just hurt them down the stretch there. Because in the second half, Perry and Noah were freshmen again. They were just I don't know if it was the fatigue or just having so much of responsibility on their back. They looked like freshmen down the end there. And it's a bummer of a loss. It's not one that I'm like overreacting like a lot of people on Twitter are right now. This is still a quad one loss. It's not going to impact. You're not dropping a seed line because of this. The bracket committee said today that they take injuries into account into all their wins and losses. This is not going to be a big ding on Kentucky's resume or anything like that. But all it does tell me is, man, they really need to get healthy, or else even you've got a couple more cupcakes in the SEC, if you will, with Vanderbilt and LSU and all them. But it's going to be a lot harder without either of those two guys. So expectations have been suspended, as we've been saying a little bit.
Even without them, Kentucky still had its chances. I mean, like I said, led for 23 minutes. They're in it at the end of the game, even have a lead. But I think adding to the ball handling, having a no-show from Kobe Brea was the ultimate. That was the kill shot. I mean, for
I was
him,
just shocked.
he fouled on more threes than he made. I mean, Amari Williams made more threes than Kobe Bryant. If you just get anything from him, I think you could still win this game. 0 for 6 for 4 points. If you're telling me Kentucky's playing a game without Jackson Robinson and you're going to get 4 points from Kobe Bryant, they could lose to about anyone. So it really is amazing with all the turnovers and being shorthanded, they were still in it. It just got absolutely nothing from him, Jack. Kentucky hit 6 threes, but they hit 4. 2 of those were garbage threes. Owe threw one in at the buzzer. Perry hit one before that. They went 6 for 24, but they were 4 for 22 when the game mattered.
And that's my thing. It's like, this is a game that you were in position to steal. Like when you claw your way and kind of build up so much goodwill to start the game and make do as well as you do without. Oh yeah, yes, we know you're down 3 primary ball handlers. You know that you're shorthanded as all get out. We understand that, but when you are taking those waves in stride and finding momentum, and you have a 5-point lead, like, you just got to close that one out. And I think that was the tone that Mark Pope had. He just said, the focus wasn't where it needed to be. It's like once they got to that last segment, it was just like the light switched off for whatever reason, and they just didn't have the it factor down the stretch, and they don't know where that went, the focus, and they just got complacent. And I think there's just a lot of frustration in that regard. Well, how can you be so focused and be locked in and put yourself in position? Yes, shorthanded. Yes, whatever. But how can you put yourself in that position for 36 very, very strong minutes and then just close the way that they did? It just feels like a missed opportunity. And for whatever reason, in these types of games, it just feels like every single Texas and Vanderbilt and Ole Miss on the road and Ohio State, just go down the list, they just keep coming up short in these. I hate calling them mediocre games, but they rise to the occasion against the best of the best. But then for whatever reason, when it comes time to, all right, now is the time for us to close and win this one, they just kind of fall short in these mediocre matchups. And it makes this team just so weird. Like, I don't know how to diagnose this team. Like, hey, what is this team's primary issue right now? Beyond, if you can't say injury issues, what is this team's issue? I don't even know how to describe it, because it's something different. It's a new kryptonite every single game. And I don't know what the answer is for them in the foreseeable future until we get, back to full strength, or at least somewhat remotely close to full strength.
They really just couldn't get in their offense. The offense was either give it to Amari, who was pretty good at, pounding it in, but Otega Owe, I see he has 20 points. That was the ugliest 20 points ever. He took some horrible threes he did not need to take. There was one in the corner early in the shot clock that was contested. I know the offense had no flow, but still don't need you taking that shot. Amari with a double-double had 18 and 12, but he kind of spoiled it there at the end. 2 of the big offensive rebounds that cost him the game. One of them, Jack Givens called him out in the broadcast on a free throw. It's like he's looking at the net, waiting for the ball to drop through because he thought Johnson was just going to make it. He misses it, and Williams is completely not ready to get the rebound. Leads to more second chance points by Texas. But he and Owe were really the only ones scoring. Owe, Jack, you were there. Was there grease on the ball? I mean, he couldn't. Not only could he not dribble, it's like he couldn't even hold it at points. He only had 3 turnovers, but it felt like there were several more times that he dropped the ball and recovered. He just couldn't hang on to it.
And when you are in a position where you're down as many ball handlers as you have, it feels like every little mistake like that is just magnified by 100. So I don't know what it was. This was the one game that you just didn't need those types of mistakes. 15 turnovers. It just felt like down the stretch, 10 of them came in those last 4 minutes. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I looked. I can go down and check and see if there's palm olive or something underneath the Texas bench that they were throwing on the ball. I am curious just as much as you are, because seeing it from here, I was about to pull my hair out. None of it made any sense to me.
What was the atmosphere like there? Because it's for those of us at home, when it was good, it seemed good. I mean, we were getting the Go Big Blues through the TV. I was having a little FOMO and not being there. It was looking like it's going to be a great night in Austin. I mean, was the turnout what it seemed on TV? We never got a full crowd shot of what the Blue looked like, but it sounded like a good Kentucky crowd.
So I don't know. There's a secret in this building, in Moody Center, where the screens that you may have seen on Twitter, the whole third level, there's just screens everywhere. It looks like somebody on Twitter called it like the redneck sphere in Vegas. That there are seats behind that, and they just do that to cover up the seats behind it because they can't fill the arena with basketball fans. They fill it for all the concerts and comedy shows and all that stuff down here, but they cannot fill this venue with basketball fans. So it's a little misleading when they give the seating chart capacity for a normal day by day, but that's not what it actually is. Only the lower bowl was filled down here, and of that lower bowl, I mean, I'm telling you, it was 30% Kentucky fans. I mean, and they were loud. They, CATS, cats. We had, blue, white. They were surrounding me especially, so it just felt louder than it probably maybe was. But they were loud. I talked to Josh Hopkins. He is here, a native of Austin. He was very confident about the Cats beforehand. Shout out, Josh, if you're watching this. But Blue showed out. I was very impressed, but it was just like Ole Miss, same thing. Down in Oxford, Kentucky fans were there, just they were not rewarded with the incredible turnout. So good venue, cool venue, but just not a basketball town, unfortunately.
No McConaughey.
No McConaughey. We did get a
Ah,
Steve Sarkisian. So is that an equivalent, maybe football? As
no,
close to
not
No,
at all.
he's no
Jo-
McConaughey.
Josh Hopkins and Steve Sarkisian. That's the closest we're gonna get.
Josh is much better than Sark. Zach, also when it was going good in that first half, you mentioned this a little bit, but Trent Noah and Ansley Almanor both had great first halves. I thought Ansley was on his way to, I guess Tuesday he set a new career high in points. He was on his way to do it again. I think he had 8 in the first half. Noah had 7.
Mhm.
He hit that 3-pointer. Another one where he just pulls up from deep. The confidence this guy has, a true freshman. I mean, they're going to need to keep doing that moving forward. Do you feel like they can go back to that first half? And what do you think happened in the second?
Well, the first half was like fun to watch, and because the refs weren't blowing every whistle, there was not 10 turnovers from each team in the first 5 minutes. Like the first half was just fun, flowing basketball, like with rhythm on each side. So it was like semi enjoyable, probably made it easier for guys like Noah and Almar to get into a groove. And then we have the second half where 5 minutes in, there's 5 fouls on or 6 fouls on each side and 9 combined turnovers. Both teams were in the bonus by the 12-minute mark. Like the second half just felt like it dragged on and on and on, and every small break was just a moment for Kentucky players to just get in their own head and think too hard about it. So I don't know what exactly happened. Like I know Trent Noah was kind of in foul trouble in the second half, so maybe that was, but it just felt like he didn't really show anything. Um, I don't know that there wasn't really like a major difference in halves that I saw, other than just the flow of the game got halted because A, Kentucky was turning it over, and B, the refs were just kind of tightening up on both. And there was some weird foul uh, free throw violations, like
Lane
lane
violation.
violations.
Yeah.
The one on Amari, which I think there was two. There's one on Ortega and Amari, but the one on Amari, I remember in real time being like, I think I'm 95% sure he was still there by the time that ball hit the rim. And then every Kentucky fan account's tweeting about it, and sure enough, on the video, he was sitting there by the time the ball had hit the rim. So and then he got hit for a lane violation. Probably could have grabbed a rebound there, maybe got up and gotten 2 points. I think Kentucky ended up getting outscored by like 10 after that or something like that. Those are all just arbitrary moments in the game that you can say flipped it. Doesn't really matter because in reality they just again just didn't have anyone to bring the ball up the floor. Like That's kind of just everything that every excuse I'll try and create in my head, or like why things went wrong. It all kind of just goes back to, man, would have been nice to have a point guard.
Stick with the fouls. Yeah, Noah had 4, but fouls really kept Andrew Carr from having a good breakout game. I think he was part of the
Andrew
10-2
Carr
run.
kept himself from having a big game, but
That's true. But the 10-2 run, he and Amari had a couple big buckets there where you thought Kentucky was really going to run away with it. But then it flipped in that moment. He fouled out. He had 5 fouls. What do you go for, like 2 for 5 from the field, 6 points? Yeah, I guess he could have done a little better than that. But I thought we were going to have a bit of a Carr game because he had an and one there. That was a pivotal moment. Jack, moving forward, is this gonna be every game, or we're just praying that Lamont Butler and someone that can dribble can help out? Because I mean, the roster, they're not coming back anytime soon. This roster is what it is.
And I do want to note when we were talking about the officiating, Doug Shows, we made eye contact before when he was running under the floor. You know, he is all about the moment, just soaking it in, and just, man, this is his time to shine. We made eye contact. I was recording for I'm trying to do my Stephen Peak KSR road trip video, so I was trying to get B-roll. Going to be a total dud because of the loss, and nobody's going to watch it. Nobody's going to watch it, but I tried. I tried to do my best. And as I was doing that, Doug Shows, I'm recording, and he makes eye contact with me. He comes by, and he just gives me like a nice little like pat on the chest, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like that. Like, it was kind of a like, ooh, like, hey, you and I both know what's coming, buddy. Like, just wait. Down the stretch, you guys are going to struggle. What did you ask me? Are we just going to buy time until
now I'm more interested about this assault that he committed on you. Do we?
That's a good point. That is a good point, and I got it on. I got it on footage. I got it on footage.
Yeah, forget the game. Now we're taking Doug to trial. No, I was just wondering if this is what it's going to be moving forward, just lack of ball handling and hoping Kobe Bryant shows up and makes threes.
As Mark Pope said tonight, Kentucky had enough to win this game, and they're going to have enough to win a lot more games. Like, this was a missed opportunity. I know the injury sucked, but I don't take any excuses. I don't take any woulda, coulda, shouldas with this one. I think this was one that Kentucky had. You're up 5 with less than 4 minutes to go. You find a way to win that game. And I think Pope is going to view that the exact same way. I think these next couple games, you have some, solid opportunities. Obviously, the Alabama one is one that we all have our eyes on, and there's some, high profile Auburn, and you hope that you have Lamont and Jackson back for those. But this is about, we have seen what the committee thinks of this Kentucky team. They have built up so much goodwill with the committee, where when you're the number 10 overall seed, you're the number 3 seed overall. I hate that we're going out west, but hey, you're in a good spot, good region. Like, you just kind of just bide of time until you can get to the finish line, until you can get to Nashville. So you just have to win the games that you're supposed to. And that's where this game kind of fit in. You accept a road loss at Alabama. You kind of take a home loss against Auburn if it meant that you kind of take care of business in these types of games. And that's what kind of makes it so deflating. And now you do kind of have to go steal one at Alabama, one, whatever that may be. And I'm not taking excuses. Like, the situation is what it is. The committee's not going to just take a losing streak at the end of the season and say, well, they're hurt, well, whatever. You got to go find ways to win, and they just didn't do it tonight. Now they got to figure out how to make that happen here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, this one's stung, Zach. You feeling good about Vandy? Gotta win Vandy, or home against Vandy, right? Next game. All right.
You'd think so.
Okay.
Got to. Must win.
Well, Jack, you're in a press box, so I'm sure that's awkward. We'll let you, people just trying to work around you, and you're there yapping, doing the reaction indoors. It's pretty cool they let you do it indoors there. That's neat.
I don't know if I'm allowed to, so maybe I'm not, but whatever the equivalent is of that 3-letter word is of Texas is going to come kill me.
Yeah, well, we'll let you go get back to work over there, and we'll get back on KentuckySportsRadio.com back here in Lexington. But that one really stunk, guys. I was feeling confident all week. Feeling confident most of the game until that 3-minute mark when it all went to hell. Kentucky absolutely shot itself in the foot over and over and over. Missed a big opportunity at Texas, losing 82-78 for Zach and Jack. I'm Drew. Bye. I don't know. We'll see you outside Rupp Arena in the cold, hopefully after a win. But this one wasn't much fun. Thank you for watching us. We'll see you next time.